to another enlightening episode of Vision X, the podcast series presented by the Entrepreneurship Cell of Sri Aurobindo College, University of Delhi. I'm your host, Yuvika Tuteja, and today we have the pleasure of conversing with a visionary entrepreneur whose journey is both inspiring and transformative. Our guest today is Tanya Katpal, the founder of Eat My News, a dynamic media platform committed to democratizing knowledge and inspiration. With a global readership and a community of over 5,000 members, Eat My News has become a beacon for those seeking to stay informed and inspired. Tanya's dedication to fostering an informed, intelligent, and inspired world is evident through her leadership and the impactful initiatives she spearheads. Tanya is also a seasoned public speaker, having delivered multiple TEDx talks where she shares her insights on confidence, leadership, and the influence of media. Her educational background includes esteemed institutions such as TPS Arkipuram, Sri Venkateshwar College, and the Xavier Institute of Communications, which have collectively shaped her approach to entrepreneurship and leadership. So, ma'am, it's an honor to have you on Vision X today. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much, Yuvika. Thank you for such a lovely introduction. I'm so happy to be here. Just one correction. Eat My News is a community of 15,000 members from more than 15 countries. And through their contributions, we posted more than 25,000 articles on our website, www.eatmy.news. Yeah, so just one correction there, but I think rest everything else was too humbling and too overwhelming. Thank you so much for your kind words.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Apologies for that. Yeah, so, ma'am, let's begin with your personal journey first. So, what inspired you to start Eat My News, and like, how did this idea come to life, and what were the challenges did you face in the early days?
I didn't really think it through much. I was very young when I started this. It was just about doing, wondering what is it that I could do. But yeah, there was always that vision that was always there, which of course was translated into fancier sentence and language later. But it was always about wanting to do something knowledge related because I've been somebody who's been an avid reader. I really love consuming a lot of news myself. I'm a people's person. I really, really love to get to know about people's stories. I'm super curious. So I think these are the instincts that I always had, ever since college. And so that was something that was roughly in my head, and I wanted to bring a set of people together. So the vision was that one day every person in this world will be positively inspired, informed, and intelligent. And that's what led to, a group of people wanting to come with me, come together for a shared vision, shared purpose, and just begin to do something as simple as making sure that we're trying to get people, the youth of the country, to also consume more information, knowledge, because there's so much power in that, right? I think today's society is so consumed by reels or content on YouTube or entertainment, but there's very little emphasis that is placed, especially in college days, to empowering yourself with the power of knowledge, to empowering yourself with upskilling yourself. I feel that if people get such a platform at a young age, it could really help them to shape up their dreams, because skills are the single most important factors that will help you put the bread on the table. And
Correct.
if you want to follow the conventional route, that's fine, but I think all of these things empower you to excel and actually to be at the top of your game. And it's very important if we can instill something like that in a very young mind. So that'll be really nice, because I got such opportunities in college, and the idea was just to give back to younger people and to build something collectively together. And then, the journey thereon began of us trying to build a community, starting a Facebook page. We got massive traction on our page. We had about 80,000 likes. And then we felt that, okay, this is something that people are really connecting with. Even the brand name, Eat My News. Uh, Whenever somebody would hear about this name, they would never forget. So,
Mhm.
I thought that we could build a very, very powerful community around this. And I spent a lot of years in genuine community building, leadership. Even today people come and ask me that how have you managed to build such a big community of people who've actually worked in Eat My News. When I say 15,000, this is the actual number of people who have worked in Eat My News. And this just came from leadership. That's what I wanted to do, to be able to teach everybody that it's important to be a noble leader, to be value driven, because if these great values and morals and ethics are inculcated at a young age, they form a very strong bedrock for the journey subsequently. And then things kept happening afterwards. We were able to deliver more than 10 youth leadership conferences, residential conferences, which have had participants from across the country, even internationally. And then we built a website where, currently we've covered such amazing celebrities. Like, you should definitely go and check out and see the lovely stories and interviews. There are contributors from across the world. I receive tons of emails every day of people who want to guest blog on our platform. So the
Mm.
journey has been great, but the challenges have been a lot because I was self-taught. I had to learn everything. I say this has been my biggest MBA because I've had to learn everything from the scratch, right?
Mm.
I come from a communications background, so I've not really done an MBA. So whether it was about a business plan or how do you really do marketing, how do you do distribution, what do you do about social media, how do you be a good leader, leadership principles. So all of that was came to me through books, through content that I consumed. And yeah, so that's been my journey so far.
Yeah, so ma'am, your vision for Read My News is truly commendable. Like, and ma'am, like you talked about having the opportunities in your college time, right? So could you just like give some light on it and give a detail about what were the opportunities and how you took them?
That was so long back. I don't know, I think I was in college. That's back
Mm.
in 2011.
Okay.
Oh, it's been really long back. Perhaps I don't look that old, but I am.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
it's really simple, right? Like, there were
Mm.
so many communities in college then.
Mm.
I was a part of them, and I would always be proactive about, wanting to connect and network.
Mm.
So these kind of opportunities were great. And then when I went to new colleges, I made friends who were smarter, and they also inspired me a lot. It's important to also be friends with the right people.
Yeah, that's true. Mm. So,
Hmm.
ma'am, looking ahead, what's your vision for the platform like in the next 5 years? Or are there any upcoming projects or expansions you're excited about?
Currently, we are focused on covering stories of people from across the world, and we
Mm.
want to do justice to that. We've already covered, big journalists. We've covered Hollywood celebrities. We've covered Bollywood celebrities, influencers. So, the goal is currently to expand the platform and to make sure that every single important voice in the world is covered on our platform. So that's what we're working towards collectively at the moment.
Ma'am, that's an exciting roadmap, right? So, ma'am, we also see that you have been a TEDx speaker multiple times, right? So, what's your approach to delivering multiple, like, impactful speeches, and what advice you want to give for the people who want to master public speaking?
I would just say that these are also the mistakes that I've made in the past. If you're gonna go to my three TEDx talks that I've given, they're not particularly something I'm super proud of them, but they're embarrassing now. Because it happens, right? Every time you look at something you've delivered a couple of years ago, you feel that okay, I could have done better. While others may still find it very, very refreshing, but that's just me being very self-critical of myself. But I think one pro tip that I can definitely share with the audience would be that uh, don't speak to impress. Because the moment you try to mince your words in a way that you want to sound flowery or you want to sound like you've come to impress people, it doesn't work. You could
Mm.
be as simple as possible, but if you just speak to add value to people who you're interacting with, like if through this conversation I can add some value to you, Yuvika, it'll be a success. Similarly, whenever I go out to deliver speeches, I have my audience. I could either crack jokes or whatever, and try to make my presentation in a way which is makes me look good. But I always try to add as much value with as much honesty that I can to my audience. So I think just remember that it's not about you, it's about them.
Wise words, ma'am. So, ma'am, let's delve into the evolving landscape of media. So, how do you see the digital media platforms transforming global marketing and brand engagement? And are there any industries that you believe will be impacted the most?
Through the media,
Yeah, through the media.
I think media is ever evolving
Yeah.
from newspapers to digital, and now it's Instagram media. So I think the trend is here to stay. I feel that one of the hot trends now is user generated content, wherein you have to kind of co-create with your community, with your audience. The more involved your community is, the more it will help even every media network grow. Even television networks these days have to resort to bringing people to come and share their
Mhm.
questions. So I think that is really really important with AI and stuff. Getting a space on Google could be a little bit challenging now, because a lot of people have changed their style of content consumption. Even the mobile applications that people were consuming earlier, now I think all of that is shifted to either Twitter, to Threads, or to Instagram. So I feel that it's important to be authentic and to continue to be true to your brand and keep delivering great content. I think now the competition with so many people's presence and the limited eyeballs that every media outlet gets because of the lower attention span is to just focus on content. If your content is great, because that's what media is about, right? It's ultimately just about content. If your content is good, you can be a fabulous media platform. And nowadays I think media, the definition of media is also changed in a way that earlier it was more centric around brands, but I think now we see a lot of people becoming brands, right? Whether it's a Barkha Dutt or there's a Faye D'Souza, or there's so many countless names who've started their own YouTube platforms. There's a Dhruv Rathi. Now people are also relying a lot on these personal brands because of their credibility to consume information. So it's an interesting space to be in.
Yeah. So, ma'am, you mentioned AI in your answers. So, giving a light to it, how do you think the intersection of AI and digital media will shape the future of content creation and consumption?
Uh, I mean, AI can do what humans could would take hours to do.
Yeah.
So I think that's why the challenge is, because now a lot of people can put out content using AI a lot faster. So I think now the challenge is in humanizing the content. There's still so much of power of storytelling. There's so much power in sharing personal stories, personal narratives. As I said, attention spans are much lower. So AI is a great aid. It helps you to do your job much faster. But I think a bit of human creativity and a blend of AI will make content so much more superior.
Yeah, that's right, ma'am. So, moving to the next question, like balancing technology and human touch is indeed vital, right? So, what strategies do you use to make complex topics more accessible to a journal audience?
Well, I think every topic is simple.
Hmm.
you look at it, every topic is very simple. It's just with the excessive use of jargon, and you can make everything look very complicated, or you can look at very simple, make it look very simple. I mean, I just always, even when I'm like consuming new pieces of content to Yuvika, let's say I want to understand about new technologies, I always also go like, okay, explain this to me like a 5-year old. I think
Hmm.
that is so important, because to be able to be a more massy brand, or to be able to reach more masses, simplifying complex topics is very important.
Yeah, that 5-year approach, like it's
Yeah,
evergreen and
yeah,
nice.
it works
Yeah.
really nice.
Yeah. So, ma'am, as you are someone who has led to teams and built a brand, what are the key leadership principles that have guided you?
As I already said, noble and authentic leadership. Let me expand on this a little bit. It's also one of the important values of Eat My News.
Sure.
Noble means that you are working for people.
Hmm.
your focus is always on your team, on their well-being, to make sure that everyone's learning, they are growing. And while you're a very very understanding you're a very understanding leader. So I think treating people as human beings and not machines is so important. And being a good leader and not a manager is someone who just merely delegates work and asks their team to do it. But a leader is somebody who makes sure that people work with the leader and are also growing, because each person's growth in your team is also very important. So being value driven, having high moral standards, and being a noble leader. Authentic, I would say, means that my leadership style is going to be very very different from yours, Yuvika, and that's what I always tell my team as well. When they try to a lot of times replicate my style, I say that there's no one size fits all. If you're going to try to copy another leader, you're going to be lost, because that's not something that comes very authentically to you. Like, I get away with saying I don't know, maybe uh, unacceptable things in a very sweet way also, because my team knows that I don't mean it, and I really really love them and I wish well for them. But every person is a very 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 different leader. So I think being authentic is very very important in today's day and age, when a lot of people are just trying to emulate others paths, do what others have done, and not uh, creating a unique path for themselves. I think that is super important.
Yeah, that's
Or
truly
even being
appreciated.
a leader in your family, right? I mean, your cousins could be doing so many different things.
Yeah,
I'm the only person in my family who's, including my cousins, who decided to build something of my own at a very young age. So that is also leadership, because that's very authentic. I've always emphasized on, whether it's to my parents or to my extended family, that I would like to always carve a path for myself, which I feel is me, and not follow what the society is doing.
yeah. I mean, that's truly an inspiring move, and your words are letting my dreams turn into a reality. So, thank you so very much.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, ma'am, moving to the next question. So, like during the journey of being a global speaker, what's the most unexpected lesson you have learned from being a global speaker?
Unexpected lesson.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say that I've learned, I have a key insight to give you from being a global speaker, but I can just tell you one thing, that I've worked with a lot of global clients. I have dealt with people from all countries. I have, worked with people from America, London, from different geographies. And I can tell you one thing that I absolutely love is that there is so much respect for human capital abroad.
Okay.
Uh, yeah, and I think people are very, very kind. They're very, very sweet. No, it's not that they're not in India as well, but I feel the respect, the mannerisms, that are there in different cultures. That's something that's, been very inspiring for me, because people really respect your time. People are always punctual. They don't disturb you on the weekends. So I think these little little gestures, even from having traveled, culturally, um, exposing myself to various cultures, I feel there's so much that you can learn even from traveling across various geographies. So I think, yeah, I think global exposure is something that is very, very important for every single person, whether you get to travel, whether you get to do an internship, work, but there is a lot to learn from the rest of the world as well.
Yeah, right. Even like exploring to the more opportunities and seeing to the more like things widely, it definitely helps, right? Yeah. So, ma'am, as you have focused that your brand focuses on having skills, and right. So, which soft skill has been the most valuable in your journey as an entrepreneur and leader, and why?
I would say emotional intelligence. That's my favorite soft skill as well. Any question you would ask me, I would say emotional intelligence. Communication as well, but I think emotional intelligence, and I'll tell you why. Emotional intelligence is your ability to not only manage your external circumstances more diplomatically, but also to be able to manage your inner work. Because that is something that is so important and so critical. Because if you don't manage your inner work, you will lose your cool at people. You will not know how to be diplomatic. You will not know how to create wow moments for people, or simply to be able to build great connections, which is so important for success. um, I will always tell that communication is what makes you stand out. You could be very skilled, but that's 20% of the job. But if you have the rest 80% and you're a stellar communicator, you could be at the top, you could be the CEO, you could be the vice president. So, learning to manage your inner work and
Hmm.
being emotionally intelligent about reading the room, understanding how people are feeling, uh, being understanding of people's moods, different situations. I think all of this can make such a big difference.
Definitely this key point I'm taking from this podcast today with me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, ma'am, moving to further, like having extensive experience in youth leadership and having spoken at multiple conferences, what do you think like is the most crucial young leaders must develop to create a real impact in today's fast changing world?
I think a growth mindset, I would say. So, one fixed mindset is that I know this much and I will continue to do what I really know. Growth always comes from being uncomfortable. When you have a fixed mindset, then what happens is that you will always continue to do what you're very comfortable at. And a lot of people get stuck in that loop. You know something really well, and you will constantly want to keep doing that for years because it's easy, right? It's not so hard for your brain. But when you have a growth mindset, it means understanding and recognizing your own limitations for learning, because there's so much to learn in this world, and you've never really achieved a lot. So, always understanding while being loving yourself and being super proud of what you've achieved, and
Mm.
but still focusing on the changing landscape in the world, and constantly upskilling yourself. That is so important, in my opinion.
Ma'am, can you give a bit more light onto the changing landscape, like just like broader this term, how can we get into like the new
Yes.
this? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Like, our parents' time, government jobs were the shiz,
Hmm.
right? Like, everybody should do government jobs. Then came this IT sector boom, where
Hmm.
everybody just wanted to be an engineer and get into technology. And then recently we saw COVID, and then we saw how remote work became a reality. Now, a lot of people across the world are quitting their jobs to becoming freelancers.
Hmm.
Hybrid model has become a reality. There could be again a time, where a lot more companies would want to be 100% remote as well. So this is what it means, right? And now with AI, you have to learn to understand it. Where is it that you can add value? Because so much of the work now AI can do. So you have to recognize those patterns about how the world is changing, and you have to be quick to it. Like, you can't be working in a company, be comfortable, and then after 5 years get fired, and then be suddenly in a shock that, oh my god, what's just happened to my life. Because then you will need to rebuild yourself. So it's important that no matter what you're doing,
Hmm.
just keep your eyes and ears open, see what's happening. Like, you could be a media person, but you can do a course in any kind of emerging technology,
Hmm.
whether you're going to use it immediately or not. But there's nothing known as this is not going to be useful for me. Every single skill that you can learn uh, will come in handy for you in some way, right? I mean, Steve Jobs said, right, that you can always connect the dots looking backward, not when you're not able to see things forward. So be in the constant pursuit of action and consistency, and things in your life will shape up. Now, do you know what kind of careers are going to exist in 10 years? There's so much content on the internet, right, that this career is going to exist. So
Hmm.
what are you doing now, for that reality that's going to be there in 10 years?
Yeah.
So that's super important. Yes.
Yeah, definitely. So everything comes with the criticism, right? So just a piece of advice from your side. How do you handle criticism and turn it into a tool for personal and professional growth?
I was super bad with criticism. In fact, I would always get very disheartened, and I'd feel really, really bad whenever I was criticized. I think that's what my natural temperament was when I was much younger. But I think with maturity, you understand that feedback. every criticism is a feedback. While you, I mean, I wouldn't say don't feel bad about criticism and, be all poker faced and stuff. It's okay to be human and to feel bad about criticism. You can, wallow in pity and cry your heart out, when you're badly criticized. But then what do you get out of that? Then you have to always pick yourself up and understand that, okay, this is what I should be working on. And
Hmm.
this is a feedback for me. It's fine, it's you have to be very very positive about criticism, but that's something you learn with age and with maturity.
Yeah, right. So I'm surely like gonna take this because being a micro influencer, criticism at early stage is a very like poking thing. So when you get criticized, you take it on yourselves. Then you even like for me, I get demotivated sometimes and I stop posting. But I'm like, no, now I have to do it. We need to work on that key points and get back stronger. And that's what you said,
And
right?
another thing is that criticism which comes from strangers doesn't really hurt as much. Sometimes criticism can come from your near and dear ones, from
Hmm.
your closest people, and then that's very tough because then you sometimes feel that, am I not meeting other people's expectations? Happens, right? I mean, your parents or anybody can, people just uh, throw their moods at you sometimes, right? And words have so much power and meaning that, people can say anything to you randomly, and they've probably forgotten the next hour, but these little things can leave an indelible impression on a young person's mind. So but you're on your own, you have to deal with your own emotions on your own and make sense of it. And don't think that you're not living for the world, you're living for yourself. If you're content with what you're doing, whether
Hmm.
you're an employee, you're a freelancer,
Yeah.
you are an actor, you were just exploring the world, you're a traveler, you're a backpacker, whatever it is that you choose to do for yourself, you should be happy. The world will speak, keep talking, you have to block the noise.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So, like, what is that one piece of advice you would give to your younger self?
Oh, that is very difficult. Okay, I don't know. I will just tell myself to be patient
Okay.
and to say that, be patient, life happens. So, and be open to ups and downs of life. Yeah, I think this is what I would like to say, that, Tanya, life doesn't go like that. Neither does it go like that. It's going to go like that and this and this. And that's gonna be a journey that you'll have to be on for the rest of your life. Ultimately, why are we born? We're born to learn important lessons in life, right? Each failure, everything, every time we've not succeeded, it has always taught us something. So I would just tell that, don't have very unrealistic expectations from life. When you're doing well, hold your hands and always be in gratitude. And when time is not good, then know that it's going to change. So be patient at that time, because life is never going to be constant. And this is something that I'm reiterating as an advice to myself even now.
Hmm. Right. You know that sabr and shukr, these are the key words we use for the success. And I think this should be the motto of like our lives, and it will really help us a lot.
Yes. Don't fly high in success.
Hmm.
Don't sink in failures.
Yes, that's so true.
Yeah.
So, yeah, moving a bit to the professional side, what role has networking played in your success, and how can entrepreneurs build meaningful connections?
Uh, Again, it depends. Networking also, I feel, is very subjective. Everyone's not an extrovert.
Hmm.
Giving an advice and saying that everyone should network is a little unrealistic, right? Because there are going to be people who are introverts and they're geniuses. So that's what their skill is. They don't really derive their energy out of people. People are very conscious also of reaching out to other people. So I feel that we need to rephrase networking. Networking doesn't mean that you go knock every door and, go for every event and just randomly try to talk to people. Um, it could just be, if you're an extrovert and, you like to connect with people, of course it's very helpful, because anybody can really come in handy to you at any point of time. So building great relationships in your life is a great asset, because you really don't know, every if you have great relationships, people could actually just be a call away. You can definitely reach out to so many people for help. If you don't ask, then the answer is always going to be no. But if you don't have a very solid relationships with people in person, online's a great place to start. I mean, LinkedIn, I feel, is a great platform. Like, I connect with a lot of people, and it doesn't have to be with an agenda. I
Mm,
think people always get very put off when you try to network with them for an agenda.
mm,
If I reach out to you and say, hi, Yuvika, let's connect. I'm looking forward for a speakership opportunity. It feels like, it doesn't feel really like, okay, I'm connecting with you for an agenda.
yeah.
That's not right. Let's say if you are somebody who's, I've come across your profile. It doesn't have to be for an agenda. I can just connect with you. If I'm just inspired by your journey, I can just send a sweet message to you and be like, hi, Yuvika. Is happy to connect with you and stay in touch.
Mm,
That's it. Shut it off.
yeah.
If an organic connection builds thereon, then
Mm,
it's great. But you don't always have to speak to people with an agenda.
right.
That's the core of networking.
Yeah. So can you share like an instance of networking? Yeah, how networking helped you in your journey?
Okay,
Any?
there would be a lot of ways. I've landed so many
Mm,
opportunities with networking and my networks. I don't know if you go and see, I have like so many followers on LinkedIn.
mm,
I'm well connected with a lot of people. So
mm,
I think, now that I have that network, also thanks to my own platform,
mm,
all the EMN alumni that's working in like biggest
mm,
companies across the globe, it helps me even now. I just have to do a quick LinkedIn search
mm.
if I have to reach out to a particular company or a particular person, and I can just drop them a message. So I think that's really been extremely helpful.
Yeah, so your advice of being warm and like that really helped you, right? Not talking only for agenda.
Yeah, 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 for sure.
Yeah. Okay. So moving on to the like next questions. Like we have already talked about the leadership qualities and everything, but specifically for a startup or maybe in tech ecosystem, what are the qualities do you think will make a great leader?
I think within a startup, somebody is uh, who knows how to bring resources and people together.
Hmm,
I think that is very important because a founder doesn't have to be an expert in any field. You don't have to be a great marketer, a great HR person, a great technologist, but you have to be a great problem solver. Let's say I have an idea. I should know that, okay, these are the next 5 steps that I have to take. Okay, I need to bring this person for this, another person for another thing, get a team together, pull out the resources. So somebody who's able to move the steering wheel but
hmm.
doesn't necessarily have to be the engine. I don't know if that analogy makes sense, just made that up. But yeah, I think that skill set is very important to be a great generalist.
Hmm. Now that truly makes sense and like it's so apt according to the today's world, right?
Hmm.
So moving ahead, we have heard a lot about Web3 when it comes to digital marketing. So how do you see Web3 transforming global market and brand engagement? And are there any industries like you specifically think that will be impacted through Web3?
Okay, I think I'd like to first address what is Web3 because
Hmm.
people don't really know about it.
Yeah.
And Web3 is one area that I'm really proud of and I'm super passionate about. Like, I feel it is uh, it is the big thing and it is for sure the next big thing. Web3 is actually a third iteration of internet. It is how our internet is changing forever, from one-sided consumption of internet when it came to inception, to then it becoming, where you there could be more two-way, wherein you could create content on the internet. But I think now internet is becoming more immersive, and I feel our world is moving a lot more towards decentralization. Our world has been so much about centralization, autonomy, lack of privacy, and I feel the younger generations are really standing up against that. Everyone wants a holistic experience on the internet, which is private. Where they don't want to feel threatened by so many um, websites that are spying on them. So I think that is a core of Web3. Then of course decentralization. Who wouldn't want that a platform has part ownership which is amongst so many people from across the world. So, decentralization, autonomy, privacy, and of course, the fantastic advantages that blockchain also as a technology brings, because
Mm.
it's immutable, means that you know that whatever is the data is there, it is something that is um, something that you can trust and rely upon. So web3 is an exciting space to be in. Web3 is not just crypto, it's not just tokens.
Mhm.
Crypto tokens just enable a project in form of, it's an alternative form of currency that fuels an ecosystem or a company. But I think, web3 is going to change everything that you know it. Healthcare, decentralized finance, metaverse is going to be a reality in the future. A lot
Mm.
of infrastructure projects, your gaming is going to change.
Mm.
So across industries, blockchain technology will be applied. And I think web3 is going to become so much bigger in the times ahead. It's already very big, but it's going to become super big.
Yeah, like that's right. Thank you for giving a better understanding for Web3 and how impactful it is. So, moving ahead, even I feel personally that having a professional and personal like balance is really very important, right? So, how do you balance personal branding with business branding? And should entrepreneurs focus on one than the other?
I don't think I have a fabulous personal brand, but I can just speak for, from a very theoretical perspective. I feel there's so many examples. You'll watch Shark Tank, right?
Yeah.
How big have those entrepreneurs become for their brands? They've become the faces of their brands, they've become the marketeers. People buy products because nowadays, not because they trust a brand, but because they trust people. Earlier it was always about getting actors and celebrities who could endorse products, but imagine a founder is somebody who can endorse his or her own brand because people really like, people connect with the why, that, why does this company exist, right?
Mm.
Apple or Steve Jobs. Apple was Steve Jobs and Steve Jobs is Apple, right? So because they connected so much with his personal brand, so people want to know why does a particular company exist.
Mm.
And if there is, a solid personal brand, a person who is likable, who you can trust, then
Mm.
you will want to become a customer for sure.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. So, like, what do you think that what's the next for you, or what be the area of focus you would like lay on, and any new projects or goals or the horizon?
Yuvika, I've stopped thinking about next for myself for the last couple of years because, in all the career that I've had, a lot of times, a lot of plans have not worked out and I've miserably failed. I failed so badly. And, life has just taken me on its own boat and its own ride. I'd never thought that I would ever start something of my own, be a speaker, or, do everything, or even just enter the crypto space. These are not plans. These
Mm.
are just things that came literally on my platter. But yeah, one thing that I always try to do is that I try to be ready. If
Okay.
you know what that I mean, right? Like I always
Mhm.
try to uh, be available for opportunities and to also keep upskilling myself and be ready so that when something comes to me, I should be able to grab it with both hands. And a lot of times I've done things that I know nothing about and they've been really scary for me. The first time I've got on the stage, or multiple times that I got on the stage, I was very scared. But I'm a bit of a diver. I dive and then I think. Whether it was also about entering a completely new industry like Web3, which I knew nothing about, and I don't come from a tech background, it was straight in diving into a new world, with new people, new cultures. So I feel that there's so much beauty also in not planning, it's in doing.
Right.
So I have stopped planning because I don't know, for people who plan, it's great, but my plans have not worked out in the past. So I
Mm.
have just decided to flow with life.
Yeah. So you say that going with the flow and just living in the present moment is more.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, like I'm like, this is what I want to do right now. This is what's making me happy. Now, you don't know, I'm also somebody who's very random, sporadic. Like in next 2 months, I would just have an idea and I'd start working on it.
Hmm.
So, I always go with my instincts and, what I really want to do currently.
I mean, I fully agree with you on this, like living the present. Earlier, I was the one always thinking for the future, like 6 months down the line, what will happen or that. But since when I have started living in the present and literally going the flow with the life, things have been really better and I have been happy. So, yeah, I think that's the key for it. Yeah. So thank you so much, ma'am, for sharing your insights and experience with us. And your journey is truly inspiring. And I'm sure our listeners have gained valuable knowledge on entrepreneurship, community building, and the evolving startup ecosystem. So, to our audience, if you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to follow Vision X for more engaging conversations with industry leaders and innovators.
And
Stay
follow
curious. Ah,
that.
and follow Tanya Katpal. Why not? Yeah.
Right.
And stay curious, stay entrepreneur, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. It's been such
Thank
a
you.
enriching experience to speak with you, Yuvika. I just want to say I'm just like you. I'm figuring out through life. I don't know all the pieces of advice that I've given. I don't even know if it's just a little bit. I've just walked on this earth a few more years, beyond you. But I just
Mhm.
so humbled and so grateful to have these opportunities and this platform. I don't know if I'm worthy of sharing any advice, but I can just say that this is all that's worked for me in my life. And I'm just sharing things. I do believe in it personally that one message can change a life. So
Right.
if there's something that's connected with some, even one person, I feel that's been a great success for me. So thank you so much for giving me this platform.
Thank
Truly.
you. Thank you so much. And like when you said that you are just like me or like with the same way, so even the every advice you were giving, I could just connect on each of them and surely taking a big baggage from here and I'll carry this my life. And definitely this motivated me, turn my dreams into reality. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.